At the Wargaming table, troops in contact, experimentation. Okay, sequence of play. Sequence of play. What I'm going to do here to set this up is, first of all, I'm taking terrain out. So this is just a hexagon field, 25 meter hexes, no terrain involved. Where am I? First of all, I am absolutely, I don't know how the final will look, but I'm absolutely still convinced that I'm going to go with time period markers like this, something like this. Time period markers. Okay. They will be color coded. For me, they have to be color coded, and then whatever other symbols are added to augment that is fine, but primarily for me will be color. Okay. Where am I? Been doing a lot of thinking about the sequence of play again, and this thinking is driven by apparent problems, possible problems, and a desire to once again try to get something straight. So this kind of circles me back to what am I trying to achieve, and how might it be achieved. So let me go, well, before I go into the first major apparent problem, I want to quickly review where I think I was. And I'm saying where I think I was because it really doesn't matter to me so much exactly where I was as where I thought I was or remember being. Okay, so this is how I think I was doing it. By the way, since I'm at the point, who goes first and how do you do first player from then on out? I am now going with an absolute hard alternate player sequence, period. No chit pull, no, not even a random die roll, no, nothing. Just pure and simple as chess. Alternate. I know this sounds, I don't know. It sounds horrible, I guess, but I mean, I have a rationale, so, you know, I guess it comes down to the rationale, I think. Bottom line is, with the scale and scope, it's always bothered me to have a concept of initiative at this scale and scope. Scale, fire team, crew, and teams. Fire team, crews. Well, no, it's teams and crews. Teams and crews. That's the unit scale. 15 second action periods. 15 seconds action period. 25 meter hexes. So at this scale and scope, initiative has always bothered me. Now, by the way, I'm thinking here about real world initiative. Okay, I'm thinking about real world initiative. I guess I'll mention something a bit about that in a second, but let me also say that if I can remember, I think I'm gonna, from here on out, I think if I can remember, I'm gonna clarify whether I'm talking real world or game world. Real world, game world. First of all, I won't discuss why, but there's an important, it is important to keep the distinction, okay? Real world, game world. And the only reason why I'm going to try to remember what's the word? To announce, that's the word I'm looking for. Announce whether I'm in game world or real world is because otherwise those listening wouldn't always know when I'm shifting one to the other. So that's important. And the distinction is important. Okay, I said I wasn't going to, I think I just said I wasn't going to explain why the difference is important. It is important because yes, game design is a process of trade-offs and limitations and key design decisions. I got it. So yes, at some point, it will pay dividends for me to clarify, at least for myself, what design trade-offs I'm making. Okay. So real-world initiative, and I'm thinking here about, it's not countless, but I had an English language mentor in university who taught me to not use exaggerations like countless, because it's not actually countless. Okay. All right. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm always replaying one training exercise after another, one after another, at the squad level, squad lane training, platoon lane training, platoon situational training exercise, or STIX, STX, platoon FTX, field training exercise, company field training exercise, and up from there. Okay. One training exercise after another, I think back, and what I find is, and why I don't like the idea of initiative at this scale and scope, is you don't know that you have the initiative. You can think you have the initiative. Both sides probably think they have the initiative. So does it really matter? Now, you can always say after the fact, you can try to analyze the situation, try to analyze what happened, and you can make a kind of determination to say, okay, yes, Blue 4 at about this moment, sees the initiative over Red 4. That's fine. And I agree with that you can do that type of after the fact analysis. But I ask again, in the moment, does it matter? I just don't think it matters. And so I don't want to give a false sense that it matters by talking about initiative. So I don't want to do it. I'm trying to throw out initiative entirely, the entire concept, throw it out. Both sides are constantly trying to win and here's the other thing. I don't want an external, maybe external isn't the right word. I don't want a fixed game mechanic that awards initiative, because you should get initiative according to the results of the decisions you make on the ground map ground. And that is a design thing that I am kind of shifting that direction. I really am kind of going towards, I want actually as few, again, external props, or as few external external inputs. I am just generally leaning towards the idea, no, if you want the initiative, you need to seize the initiative, and it goes down the line from there. If you want to make decisions faster than your opponent, you need to make decisions that create the circumstances for you to make decisions faster than your opponent. I don't want it baked in. So anyways, I didn't want to talk about that. But that is generally where I'm going. So I'm trying to ditch initiative entirely. So back to why a hard alternate play sequence. Basically, there's start with one reason. I do not want the players to be trying to game the initiative system. I don't want them trying to game the simple progress of play back and forth. I don't want players thinking about it at all, which is why I'm going to the situation of each side gets as close to as possible. Both sides get exactly the same opportunity to act in principle. Of course, we and it's one of the great things about war games, we always have asymmetric forces, but I don't want players thinking about the sequence of play. Now, I thought about the simple idea of my dice go. Yeah, I did also think about the mechanic of simply rolling at the start of every action period, and this would be a pure random roll. No modifiers, no nothing. It would be a pure random roll. So it would be a purely random determination of who goes first for each action period. But I thought, why would I be doing that? I would be doing that to, again, create basically a perfectly even opportunity structure. And then I thought, well, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but if I just go to an alternate play sequence, I think it is in effect the same thing. Again, I'm not saying those two are identical, but I'm saying it's going to create, I hope, the same effect. The effect being, I don't want players thinking about a difference there. This is what I meant when I said that in the moment of all of my training exercises where I went up against an Op 4, you don't know you have the initiative, so just cut it out. Don't have, it doesn't make any sense to be starting a scenario and being told by the scenario that you have some type, that you have the initiative, or that your forces think faster and better than the opponent. But anyways, that's just where I'm going right now. Differences in forces can be handled in other ways, but anyways, I don't know about that. Anyways, so then I thought, well, I do want to cut out as much die rolling as possible. It's always a design feature or goal of mine to just cut out the die rolling as much as possible. So I thought, okay, just try pure alternate play and see how that works. Okay, so this is where I think I was. Blue 4 is the first player. Activate, they move like one, or let's see. Well, yeah, let's start simple. They move one. They move one hex, and they expend one action point doing so. I have to say again, I am absolutely working right now on going down the road of having, you can choose how many action points to expend per hex of different kinds of terrain. But anyways, again, I'm going to keep things simple. No terrain, and every unit's always spending one action point per hex. But again, that's not fixed. That's not fixed. Anyways, so they get marked +1. +1. I'm going to put the markers on top, but in the real game, I'm going to be putting them under. Okay, boom. Oh, I should go in order. They move one, and before Blue 4 player decides to stop or do anything else, Red 4 player gets to, and I can't decide whether it's interrupt or intervene. Intervene sounds more formal than interrupt, but I think intervene is actually slightly more correct than interrupt, but it's not initiative though. Red 4 is going to intervene, and so because Red 4 is intervening, Blue is kind of suspended there, period. No ifs, ands, or buts there. Boom. They're suspended. They can be marked because they're not doing anything more right now. Nothing more. They're kind of frozen. Okay, now Red 4 player can do. Red 4 players intervening. And because they intervened as opposed to acted according to the sequence of play, I gotta clean that concept up. But because they're intervening, they get to expend the same number of action points as they observed in that hex, in the hex that they intervened at. So in this case, it's 1. So I'm saying red 4 player could move 1 or 1 or 1 or 1 or whatever. They could move for 1 action point because they observed 1 action point. Or of course they can use that 1 action point to fire. Let's say they're going to fire in this case. They fire, you go through the whole boom, they drop firepower there, and how I've had it is they pick up the same action marker, the same action period marker as the target. Boom, like that. So the idea that I had is whenever units interact, I think I left off with a hard rule. Whenever units interact, they are both marked with the latest action period marker. Okay, so we had no action marker, we had +1 action marker. So the latest is +1 action marker. So red 4 interacted with blue, it gets marked with a +1 action period marker. Now, so the first issue is what happens when, does that mean now that this unit, because it's going to come back to blue 4 can now go 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's say, so that wraps back around +4 action periods. Boom. And then what? Because this is where things, why did these units started moving at the same time? Basically, why did red 4 allow this unit to go way up here without anything and fire on this unit instead? What is going on? See what's going on, because is this dealt with by, by the way, situation, except by situation, there are going to be no rules for hidden units or anything like that. Again, there's a reason for that I'll get to at some other point. So there could be hidden movements, but they're only by situation. Okay, so red 4 knows that there's 3 times its strength arrayed here. So instead of this unit moving 1 and red 4 just dropping firepower on it, would it wait to see what blue 4 does? So maybe red 4 waits and does not intervene, and then blue 4 actually chooses to stop. Of course, it wouldn't matter because opportunity to act would go back to red 4 anyways, and red 4 could now fire. And okay, so this is exactly what I'm saying. So it comes back to red 4 fires, red 4 gets marked with the same. So you wind up with the same situation, which isn't necessarily bad. I don't want intervening to be dramatically better than simply waiting. What I really want is I want players to have tough decisions about waiting to act or choosing to basically react. Choosing to react or waiting to act. But something else isn't. Something is let me think about this. All right, let me try to work through some basics. If blue 4 goes 1, 2, 3, 4, expends 4 action points, plus marked, I shouldn't say the expenditure of action points. What's relevant is he's marked +4 action periods, which, by the way, now there is no point for a red player to intervene because red 4 gets the opportunity to act anyways, which, by the way, I'm okay with. They held their fire to till the very end. Then they act. They, drop casualty factor. They drop firepower on the target hex, and in the process, they are marked with the same +4 action periods. Now, if blue 4 goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, then what I'm thinking is the line, basically they all moved up, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not lockstep, shoulder to shoulder, but basically in the 1 minute of game time, the line moved up. And the result is red 4 only fired at 1/3 of the target, which I don't like. This is what I don't like. So what is going on here? Let's try one thing that's different. And I have no idea, thinking off the top of my head, maybe if this unit goes 1, 2, well, actually, let's go through. If they go 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're marked with the same +4 action period, maybe we say that red 4 gets to what? Well, let's just say they get to intervene. They drop firepower there. Both are already marked with the same action period. Neither is marked with a later action period marker. So maybe you just stay there. And then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? They're marked +4 action periods, and you say that red 4 gets to drop. Now, first of all, it looks better to me that the line moved up, generally speaking, over the same period of time, and at or near the end of this movement, red 4 opened up across the board. However, it looks good. To my eye, it looks good. This is what I want. I don't see why red 4's firepower can't be used against basically a contiguous target. Okay, but here's the problem. It is an absolute must in this game that there are going to be different rates of fire. There are going to be, I hope, some very, very interesting choices to make regarding rates of fire. So here's the deal. If, just to notionally reverse just a bit, basically when it gets to the second fire, like that, when the second unit moves up, what if, in game terms, red 4 unit unleashed, its full volume of firepower at the target there? What do you do with the remaining, or the second one, and then finally the third one? Do you say that red 4 gets to open with any level of firepower against the first target, but then must fire at the minimum firepower with all subsequent attacks? Would that even work? What does that even mean? In game terms, that might work. Going back to real world, what does that correspond to? What does that correspond to? I think I'm leaning one way, so let me see if it works. The way I'm leaning is to reverse here. Okay. The first movement. It is important to my game design approach that red 4 knows that there are follow-on forces. Red 4 knows what it's looking at. It can see 3 fire teams 200 meters away at the start. And players have to make decisions in light of this. And let me explain why I hope this is going to work. Okay, so let's say that when the first unit moves and then it goes to Red 4 player's turn, Red 4 player, how is this going to work? Red 4 player is going to well, it's not going to open up with everything because it knows that it may be faced with more targets in game terms. So does that mean that Red 4 player can drop I'll say low amount of firepower. I'll say low, moderate, high. Does this mean that Red 4 player can choose to drop a low amount of firepower, thinking that it's going to have more targets, and then what happens is it in fact gets more targets like that, right? Now, what I'm getting at is, in effect, if you wind up like that, now I'm saying in effect, Red 4 player distributed its firepower in a way that, again, I like the look of. But just to point this out, this would not be forced. It would absolutely not be forced, meaning that if, for whatever reason, Red 4 player, for whatever reason, decided they had to open up with high amount of firepower, they could do so. And then I'm okay if they do a high amount of firepower, then I'm actually okay with Red 4 player foregoing the opportunity to distribute that firepower. That seems to work. It seems to look right. Now here's another wrinkle. Until I figure out it doesn't work, I do not want players to be prohibited from firing at empty hexes. And so again, if for whatever reason Red 4 player decides that that Red side must drop basically a wall of fire, then, and what it would do is it would look like that. In one fire attack, Red 4 player can lay down a zone of fire. And the effect of this is that now Blue 4 player is free to go like 1, 2, 3, and let's just say they go 4, except that I think that this was all minimum fire, or low fire, not minimum, low fire. I'm thinking that Red 4 player could still drop low firepower like that, and if Blue 4 player went to 1, 2, 3, 4, again, Red 4 player is able to drop firepower. The effect is that Red 4 used firepower to influence Blue 4's movement, but maybe not much more than that. I'm okay with that. I don't think this is I don't think this is going to happen very often, but I want to allow for it. I'll just say in passing that there were some good decision-making frameworks involved there, but I'll skip over that. Let's get to the problems. And there are definite problems. Let's go with the one of the worst problems, I think. All right. If we have, I think, maybe it's not. I don't know. All right. Let's add a red 4 unit there. Okay. When this unit goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and this unit opens up plus 4 action periods, well, firepower, boom. And the fire gets marked plus 4 action periods. Now, goes to blue 4 player does something else, comes back to red 4 player. Is it a problem or not? Well, anyways, if this unit moves back, goes 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, some silly, but basically it moves in a way that it expends 4 action points and it's marked plus 4 action periods like that. My first problem is these two units, they're both marked identically plus 4 action periods, but this unit essentially sat for 3 action periods, then fired in the 4th action period, roughly. But never left the hex. This unit was basically back, running around for 3 action periods before coming back to, in the 4th action period, the original hex, and is marked the exact same way. So what I'm getting at is when this unit moves like 1, 2, 3, let's say, that for the entire time period that this unit moved 1, 2, 3, this unit wasn't even here. So if this is a wood line, it was back and not even in the picture with respect to this blue 4 unit here, whereas this unit was actually sitting there for the entire time period that this unit moved 1, 2, 3. So that's my problem. That's one of the problems I'm trying to wrestle with here, right? So I don't even know. I just sat here and thought through like a dozen different scenarios, and actually, strangely enough, I still think it's actually going to work in playtesting. So the next step is to actually playtest again the sequence of play with what understanding? The first understanding is there will be situations where it appears, well, it's not even just that it appears. There will be situations where one side will lose an opportunity because of the sequence of play structure, which, to interject, I'm not sure I said it during this session, but I'm more convinced than ever that all sequences of play have underlying problems and limitations. So that goes without saying. Yeah, actually, this is important. I'm not looking for the perfect sequence of play. I'm not looking for the right sequence of play. I'm looking for the sequence of play that I'm comfortable with, because really there are many different sequences of play that work perfectly fine. But I'm looking for one that sits well with me. Okay, so a side will lose opportunities, and I think my approach is, yes, the side lost an opportunity, but it should be generally because the other side simply acted first, and that's okay. So let me go over one last problem, and this is what I think is going to not come out in the wash, but I think this is what might actually be okay in practice. Let's set him aside. Back to 3 to 1. 3 blue 4 to 1 red 4. This is what I was wondering about. Now let's say that, how do we do this? Again, let's say, I know I was going to not consider terrain, but let's just say that red 4 comes back. In any case, blue 4 cannot intervene and fire at red. Red moves 1, 2, 3, 4. Now they're back, and they're 4. Then blue 4 moves, in this case, I should have done something different. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say blue 4 has a covered and concealed route. As a matter of fact, let's say I have a covered and concealed route for 3 hexes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and right here, wow. First of all, they've expended 3. So it looks like that. Now the question is, can red 4 intervene? Can red 4 intervene, changing that marker to that? Well, I mean, not really, because at +3, red 4 was back here. And we're saying that there's a wood line here, so you didn't even see him. So if we say red 4 can't intervene in this case, then what happens is, well, actually, see, this is okay. I was going to say, now blue 4 gets to drop firepower, doesn't matter what amount, boom, and that actually corresponds to his 4th action point, which is +4 action periods like that, which is actually okay. Because, and here's why, because when it comes back to red 4, well, no, let me talk about the problem, apparent problem. Here's a blue 4 unit here. It's been sitting here in the open the whole time. So then I'm saying if blue 4 just moves 1, something like that, then the question again is, can red 4 intervene and fire? Well, why? Because at the same time that he moved forward, red 4 moved back again in roughly the same action period. So that doesn't make sense. So then, again, are we saying he can go 1, 2, and even 3? Like that? And again, and now I'm saying, you know what? Actually, that's not that bad, because in the 3, so red 4 went, if I can do this, red 4 went doom, 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 and then red 4 came back here. And okay, so why does red get to beat blue to this hex? In this case, red 4 moved first. So I'm okay with red 4 moved first, so beats blue to this hex. I'm okay with that. See that actually works out. Oh, I thought it didn't work out. Huh. Oh, I know why. It's I know why it's okay, because after blue moved here, it goes back to red. Red can actually resolve this fire. And assuming that oh, wait a minute. Never mind, it can't resolve this fire. It can resolve fire when we get to that action period, but that's interesting. Blue is going to actually clear first, which is actually okay because they had that one extra action point, right? Oh. Yeah. Huh. That actually, and then they would open up fire, you know, at point blank range, right? Like that. They would pick up the same action marker, which is right, actually. +1. Then we would come back to the original, not the original, the first action period that we started on. Everybody would clear at the same time, like that. Who knows who turned? I mean, just considering these pieces, it's red 4's turn, right? So red 4 could clear this combat and open up fire. Boom. Like that. 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 Huh. All right. Maybe it does work out. I gotta play test this.